us, every single entrepreneur here, to get this country back on track. In fact, that's what we need to all be doing. Is we don't want to wait, because if you wait, you will seal your fate. If you ponder, you will squander when it comes to getting business back on track. And so we have to do everything in our ability to keep the free enterprise system moving and keeping the bills getting paid, getting the inventory moving, everything that you're going to talk about. Now, a lot of you are probably maybe even a little bit scared with some of the stuff that's going on. I could certainly understand that, but I'm going to talk to you about some key takeaways today that I think are front and center for every single one of you. And as we look at taking on this new challenging situation, that's the way I want to look at it, because everybody's talking about, oh, when are we going back to the normal? Listen, there's never a normal when you're an entrepreneur. You know that. You started out as a one-man band, then you move to devout followers, and eventually, hopefully, you'll move to those skilled practitioners and really being a thriving enterprise. So I'm going to talk to you about how to, take some key takeaways from this presentation and some other resources that you can get from Entrepreneur by coming back to the site continuously, because a lot more updates, a lot more information, and we want you to have the very best of the best. And so I'm so pleased to be with you today. Now, my background, just so a few of you know, I've bought and sold over 250 businesses in my career, about 25 billion in transaction. I've been a Fortune 100 officer, a television host on Bloomberg. I have my own podcast. I'm out there making content and driving my business. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit, because that's what some of you should be doing right this very minute. Whether you're a dog walker, and we have some of those in our C-Suite network, where you can't maybe walk dogs, well, start delivering groceries, doing whatever you can to make it happen. So what I want to do is talk to you first about mindset. I want to talk to you about getting your head in the game. And I'll get to my 5 keeps in a few minutes, but it's very important that you think about not what's going to happen at the end of the year, or is my business going to make it, or whatever it is. No, we have to get you through the next 60 days. In fact, that's what I'm telling our members at the C-Suite Network, all of the 350,000 community that's part of our group, is you've got to get through the next 60 days, maybe 90 days, but really the next 60 days. I'm going to give you that kind of game plan for you to be able to do it. I'm going to give you the 5 keeps for business continuity. And I'm going to talk to you about some of the biggest mistakes in the 2008 recession. Okay? We learned a lot through that recession, and talked to the Fed chairman this year, or just this week, and we learned a great deal. I'm going to share about that. We're going to talk about some of the companies that came out of that recession during the deepest, darkest time of business. Those things, there were some huge successes. So I want you to get excited. So when there is a crisis, there's also huge opportunity. Now, I don't want you to, oh my gosh, he's being callous, he's being dark about, there's people that are going to die through this thing. Obviously, I know that. But I can't help that. And I know that most of you can't help that. I mean, I can't even sew a mask. So I'm going to do what I can do, and that's make my business strong and help you make your business strong, because that's what we need right now. So we're going to do that. So we're going to talk about lessons from past market disruptions that were due to major events, and there's been a lot of those. And why is now time to innovate, to drive and thrive? In fact, I'm using that hashtag, drive and thrive, because we got to navigate through the impact of this business and supporting other business. We have to help each other. That's one of the big things that we want to do. So let's get into what I call the 5 keeps. Now, the biggest piece that I want to tell you is you got to keep a hat on. You got to keep thinking about this by focusing in on the 5 keeps. And I just call them keeps. I used to go to seminars, and when I was at seminars, I always looked for the keepers. You know what I'm saying? The keepers, those things that someone would say, and then I would write them down. And I actually used to keep them in a book. And these were my keepers. These were the things that were just like, whoa, this is good information, and I need to know about it, and I want to remember this again. All right, so my very first keep for you is keep your customers engaged, okay? That's the very first one. So what are you doing to reach out to your customers? Now, I'm not talking about selling to them, because it's a little tough to sell right now. You don't probably want to be selling, but listen, if you're feeding the poor, you still got to feed yourself, okay? Let's be clear. So I want you to keep your customers, and I want to keep them engaged. And what do I mean by that? So you want to start thinking about, how can I reach out to my customers and have a discussion with them about what can I do to help you? How may I help you? In what manner? Maybe they're not going to take your full range of services, but just the thought of you keeping them keeps them settled down and keeps their mind in the game about you and that you're there to help. And if you're showing up in the deepest and darkest times to help, what will you do in the great times too? That's very important. So one of the things that we're doing, in the business, and I still own a number of businesses, is I'm having huddles with my customers. Now, what's a huddle? So once a week, okay, I'm actually calling all my customers to get together in kind of a little bit of a support group, but we're talking about things we could do with each other right now. I'm keeping them engaged in their business. Now, I've also offered to do that for each of them. So if they want me to lead that for their customers, I'm doing that too. Again, trying to do everything I can do to help. But the key is to reach out. I've even made a list of all the customers that came and then all the customers that haven't. And I'm going especially after those customers that haven't engaged and saying, hey, get your head in the game. Hey, what can we do to help? How can I help you? In fact, I found out one of my customers actually is just getting through the virus. And that's why we hadn't heard from him. Okay. So he was just so appreciative that I was reaching out just to check on him. So think about the things that you could do there. And then, hold forums, start doing more content. You should be doing daily posts about your business, in upping your social media, upping your outreach, upping your writing. Create a podcast, get on a podcast, get on as many podcasts as you can. Start doing video every single day with a key message about updating your customers and sending it out to your customers, posting it on LinkedIn. But you've got to stay visible and you've got to be able to keep your customers engaged. And also, one of the things is, at the same time you're keeping your customer engaged, what are you thinking about for the restart? There is going to be a restart. So what are you doing in getting your mind ready for that restart? Because it's like kind of like when you're going down the road in a highway. Let's say you're in a big city, a big interstate. You're going down Interstate 10. You're going down Interstate 90. You're going down Interstate. Well, I don't know what they all are, because usually I have somebody drive me, so I don't. No one lets me drive. You can obviously see why, because I get very distracted, squirrel, and I'm off. So not a very good thing. But when you're going down the interstate or highway or any road, and the traffic backs up for miles and miles and miles, and you're frustrated, you're going, it's just barely getting through, and then finally you get up, and then there's like a banana on the side of the road, and everybody stops to look at the banana. Well, that's what we're having right now. And then all of a sudden the road's wide open, and there's the 405 in front of you, and there's 6 lanes, and there's no one in front. You can go 95 miles an hour. That's what we're going to see, okay? We are going to see that. And my belief is we'll see that sometime in June and July, but let's get ready for it. So what's your dream list? What's your dream list of clients? What is the dream list of customers? Who is it you want the most? What are you doing to really outreach to them right now, so that they can be active? If you're out of sight, you're out of mind. So, think about the things that you can do. Number 2, the second key. I want you to keep your employees focused, okay? It's hard. They're worried. You're in control. Well, I laugh, because are we ever in control? We are at least in some control of some of the destiny of where we're going to go and how we're going to proceed. So our employees are less so. So this is the time in which you need to be radically transparent with your employees, all right? So I put together huddles. Now, every day we have a daily huddle with the team. So our marketing team, our sales team, operations team, customer service team, and we're getting together and we're talking through the things that we need to do for the day or the week and what are our priorities. It's really to bring people back, and it's going to get to another point, my 4th point, which is continuity. But it helps us keep the continuity that we need on the business. And by keeping our employees, focused on the 3 to 5 things that we've got to get done today. Because I acknowledge, and I'm transparent to my employees and saying, I know that while you're working at home, you're not working 100% for me. And by the way, let me acknowledge that probably when you're in the office, you're not working 100% for me either. Okay, got that. But to be as effective as possible, I need to keep you focused, right? So while you might be doing these things and this thing and this thing, I need to keep you focused on the 3 to 5 things that you've got to get done today. And then I'm also telling about where we're at. Yesterday was the 1st of the month. And what did I do? I said to them, hey, we made payroll. Want to let everybody know. That reinforces that, hey, this is where we're going. This is what we're doing. Of course, you all know we make payroll. You got your checks. You don't have to worry about it. I'm going to make the next one. Okay, I'm going to make the next one. Here's where we're at. And then, by the way, here's where we're at with the loan packages and all of the other resources that we're going after right now, because we're doing it just like every other, like 28 million other businesses in North America. We're doing the exact same thing, and I want to know where you're at, and this is what we've done to do this, and I want your head in the game. I want you knowing. I want you focused where we're going and how we're doing it. So the other thing we do is we're getting together as an entire team 3 times a week. These are just a couple of suggestions. You find out what works for you, right? And some of you were doing this stuff anyway. You work remote. You're an entrepreneur working remote. You got a remote team. You got contractors, 1099s, whatever. Everyone does it differently. There's no right or wrong way. There's just your way. Find the way that works for you and make it work and do it well, okay? So you want to make sure that you keep them focused. And so what we do is we are getting together 3 times a week, and then as a whole team, and we all get on. Here we are on Zoom, and we got all the squares and everything. And how we doing? What was the tough thing today? What was the easiest thing today? Who's got something good to share? What's an announcement we need to share across the whole team? So again, we give that continuity, and I think we're actually communicating better now than we ever have as a company. And so that's going to be a real keeper for us, is this practice of how we do these daily huddles and then how we do these gatherings. And by the way, on Friday night, we've turned our last one into a little bit of a rah-rah, and we're doing a little bit of a happy hour. We're doing a little bit of a happy hour at the end of the night. Maybe we get a little too happy, but that's okay too, because we're enjoying ourselves and we're being a team and we're being human. I've even seen one company, Evan Dash, these guys, they make all kinds of wonderful products like the rice cookers and fryers and all kinds of great things for your kitchen. And they're one of our Hero Club members in the C-Suite Network, and they're doing formal Fridays. Remember casual Fridays? Well, they're doing formal Fridays, and everybody's in dresses and heels and suits and ties. I thought that was kind of fun. Think about what you could do. Our team's been talking about maybe doing logo Wednesdays or your favorite teams on Tuesdays, things like that. So that's kind of fun to be able to do. All right, number 3, my next big key is keep the cash flowing, okay? This is very critical for the business right now, to be able to keep this cash flowing and keep it heading in the right direction for you. So what do you want to start thinking about? Well, first of all, you got to get into these government programs. And I know that the Entrepreneur and Magazine and .com has all of these things laid out for you, so you can be able to check back in. And if not, hey, at the end of this thing, I've got an email. You email me personally. I'll send you a resource kit. I'll send you anything I possibly can to help you to make sure you're keeping the cash flow going. And so, first of all, get those loans. And I got to tell you, I'm going to give the government a little credit here, because what they've done is pretty smart. They're saying, hey, we're going to give you a loan for your payroll now. And by the way, that does include 1099s. And if you're a 501c3 organization, it includes you as well. I thought that was pretty cool. And what they've done is, rather than saying, hey, you lay your people off and go to the unemployment line, they're saying, no, you hold them, and we'll give you the money. You'll do it, and after a period of time, we'll forgive you of the loan. Well, why are they doing that? Because they don't want to inherit the problem. And I think this is one of the first times the government's ever shown up, and we've heard them say, hey, I'm from the government, I'm here to help, and we want them, okay? And they're actually doing it. So I'm very excited by that. I'm not sure who the politician or who the administrator was that actually put that together, but hats off to you for being entrepreneurial. Because what you've done is you've given more businesses hope, and we've been able to keep people in the business and keep functioning and focused on the business. Now, are there going to be bumps? Yeah. Are you going to get the money fast enough? Probably not. So you're going to have to work out things with your employees to say, hey, it's coming, but it's going to take you 2 weeks to go to employment. You don't want to do that anyway. Here, hang tight, hang with us. This is what we're going to do. If you have to reduce hours, you have to do this, you have to do that. But think about how you keep that cash flowing. Okay, folks? That's the critical part. So look at what you can put into forbearance. Well, what does that mean? So that means, can you take your rent, put it off? Can you take any payment that you possibly is not mission critical? Call the vendor, call your partner, because you don't want to surprise them with this. You want to have a good, honest, transparent conversation. That's what good leaders do. And you want to be able to have a conversation with them that says, hey, I'm not paying my rent, or I'm going to only pay a quarter of it, or whatever it might be. Those are some things that you might want to think about. Where can you get other cash? Go to your life insurance policies and borrow against them. Where can you go tap the credit cards again to be able to do it? I know many of you have used those to get to where you're at. Call the credit card company and see if they'll raise it. Call the credit card companies and see if they'll put off payments. I'm hearing they're all doing that. They're all working with people. I've even been able myself to call my health insurance company and get a little bit of forbearance there as well. Just not that I really need it, but I'm prepared for it, because I want to prepare for the worst, and I want to be able to have pools of cash, at my fingertips or close by that I might be able to use, so I'm not up against the wall and then bam, I got nowhere to go. So think about where you can go and get that cash and do the forbearance. I think those are really key. Then look at the key expenses that you can cut, okay? Because I do think I was checking through, I got a notice on my Apple that here's my subscription for such and such for $39.99. What the hell was that? I had no clue. I went and looked, I got some subscription. I have no idea why I signed up for it, how it got on there. And I've been doing it for 10 months. I killed it. And are there other ones that you can kill or, put off? I mean, think about where that at. I even encourage you to, there's a company called Delta Payment Systems. If you email me, I'll send you directly to the CEO of that company. I changed my merchant accounts. A lot of you use companies like, Square and others. And I'm going to encourage you not to use convenience kinds of products, because they typically have a higher rate for those kinds of merchant accounts. And so I was able to shave $80,000 off of my bill because I went to another merchant account. They went out and they bid it for me and found the best deals for me. So find the operational side where you can actually start to save. Pay attention to those. Maybe I call that throwaway money. You didn't know you had it, so you kind of threw it away, and now we're picking up pennies, right? So we wouldn't have picked up a penny or a dime as we were walking down the street, because I don't want to touch that. And now we pick them up. And so this is the case right now. So we want to start looking at picking up the pennies. Okay. Number four is keep continuity. Okay. So what do you want to do with continuity? So what was your business like before? What was the cadence of the business? I talked about this in one of my books that I did for Entrepreneur called Think Big, Act Bigger. And I talked about a business's cadence. And when you walk into that business, you kind of get a sense of the cadence. Well, our cadence or our continuity has been disrupted because we're sending people home to work and we're not operating like we normally operate. So how can you get that cadence back? What can you be doing as employees, as teammates together to show that in front of the customer? So think about what your cadence is and your continuity. So when you're doing a lot of video calls, a lot more of us have discovered Zoom. And thank you, Eric Wan, for creating this wonderful tool. He's a great CEO of the company. Excuse me. I'm doing so many of these, and I'm so excited. Can you tell? I'm excited to help people. I mean, that's what we are, business first responders. You put the quarter in, you get to go for the full ride with me. So I'm excited to help people. So I'm doing a ton of these, and doing my best to stay as healthy as possible as well. But Eric Wan has created this great tool, and we're all using it now. And so when you're on, think about what you look like. I'm serious about that. Don't just wear a hoodie and pajamas. Get out of your pajamas and get into some kind of business, not business attire. You don't have to do what I do. You don't have to put on a jacket, that thing. I do a lot of TV and a lot of video. With a face like this, you got to expect that. Oh, come on, that's funny. Now, but what I'm talking about is it changes your attitude. So keep that continuity going by getting into a routine, holding regular hours, maybe even expanding those hours so that you can keep doing what you're doing. Okay, so that's what I want to do. Maybe update your website. Think about what what your employees are doing, how they're doing. But the biggest thing I got to tell you in terms of keeping continuity is you got to keep healthy. So stay home, stay home. Whether your state's got a stay-at-home rule or not, you have to sequester yourself. You're the leader of this organization, and you've got to zone yourself off. And that's just the nature of it. Back even when I was working as a Fortune 100 officer, many of you probably don't know this, but many of the officers of the company, the top 4 officers, we could never be at the same place at the same time. We couldn't travel together. So if we were going down to NASDAQ or we were going to New York Stock Exchange, which I've done both, and ring the bell, we couldn't all travel in the same plane. Because if the plane goes down, then the whole executive team's taken out. So we had to even separate separate planes. We could never travel together, okay? Same thing with your business right now. You have to remain healthy, okay? You have to remain as strong as you possibly can, which leads me to my 5th point, my final point before I get into some of the lessons that we've learned over the years. And what we need to do in the next 60 days is keep your spirit. Listen, we all talk about culture being a great thing for the business, but culture takes a long time. But mood is important. Mood will break or make a business, okay? And so you got to keep the spirit up. You have to keep up about this. And so I got that it's dark. I've got that it's tough. I got that you want to crawl into a hole and hide, but you can't do that. We can't do that. You're not made for that. You got to get up off your ass. You got to get moving, and you got to get this business moving. And you got to keep your spirit up about it. So what I want you to do is think about groups that help you. Come back to this site. Come back to entrepreneur.com. Come back and check in with the community. Make some comments. Look for a great article. Look for some great people that you can reach out to and might want to connect with. Join a tribe or 2. You know, come join us at the C-Suite Network. We'd love to have you. Come join 3 tribes. Get involved. Do more than what you've ever done before to keep your spirit up, because you're going to need to do it. And we got 60, 90 days to get through this. We'll get through it. You'll get through it. And we'll get through it stronger, but we can. It's better if it's together. But more importantly, just keep that spirit up. Okay, now, thank you so much for allowing me to give you those 5 keeps. Now, and I just said this, new ways to network. Right now, you got to get out there. So find some other tribes and start getting involved, because getting engaged leads to meeting someone else. Wow, this business deal, this business deal, this business deal. Literally, I'm telling you, I've never worked harder in my life as a business first responder, as a business leader, because I am making more connections now than ever before. People are reaching out to me. Hey, Jeff, do you know this person? Yes, let me connect you to this person. Julie Rome, Party City CMO, yesterday reached out to me. Can you put me in connection with Eric Wan, the founder of Zoom? Yes, because she wants to do virtual parties. Awesome, that makes sense. Let's go do that. A winery that owns a winery, they're now doing virtual tastings. Jeff, can you help me? Of course I can help you, especially if I get some wine. Awesome. Even I'm doing a Scotch Sunday. Why? Because I love to drink Scotch, but more importantly, who drinks Scotch? Business people. Typically, business executives drink Scotch. In fact, the richer, the higher the price of the Scotch, the bigger the executive, okay? I want to meet those people. So it's cool. I enjoy it. Look, I love Scotch. I'm thinking about doing bacon breakfasts because I love bacon, and I know other people love bacon. So maybe we should do that. So again, find innovative ways to get a tribe going, to move that tribe. Do content, as I said before. The other thing is go help fellow businesses and ask the same in return. Say, hey, how can I help you? Listen, folks, if I can help you in any way, shape, or form, I'm going to help you, but I'm also going to ask you to help me too, okay? Because that's what we do. You help me, I help you, we help together. If you give, you will get during this time period. The world is starting to change, thank goodness, right? It's starting to change. Whatever, it's the new norm. That's the way it works. Fill the void. Not everyone's going to make it, okay? Got it, okay? They're not as strong as you. They're not as relentless as you. They're not as smart as you. They won't hustle as much as you, okay? We get that. So if they go down, you fill the void. We have to fight back. Do not give up. This is not the time, again, to run into a hole and hide. This is the time to get out there. If you wait, you will seal your fate. There's no time to pause. It's time to push, okay? So I encourage you, I implore you to fight, to fight, to fight. In the deepest, darkest days of the Blitz on London by the Germans, on all those Britons, when they were bombing night after night after night after night, Winston Churchill would drink some brandy, smoke a cigar, and he would say, fight on, Brits, fight on. So for you entrepreneurs right there, fight on, okay? Reach out to every past client, anyone that you've ever closed lost. that never could do business before, why don't you reach out to them and say, hey, what can I do to help you? And then last but not least, please excuse my cough. And by the way, no symptoms, just doing too much talking, okay? Thank you for your concern. I want you to create great content. Start doing articles. Come write articles for us. Write articles for Entrepreneur. Write articles for anybody you can think of. We would love to have that at the C-Suite Network. Come do a podcast. You know, we own C-Suite Radio. Come do a podcast. Come get on a podcast. We have 170 shows in our network, and we're adding a new show every other day. Come write white papers. Why don't write paper about your industry and about how you stand, not how you stand out, but how your solution stands out, because you don't want to really be selling, but you want to be positioning, right? Do a book. Write a book about your company. Write a book about the problem you're solving. Do videos, etc. Do all kinds of things that you can think of. Don't forget that during a recession, I want to show you some of the companies that were successful and started during recession. Some of the greatest companies in the history of the world: GE, Burger King, Apple, Microsoft, Disney, GM, CNN, IBM. And during the last recession in 2008, Uber was started. Airbnb was started. I mean, who would have thought 20 years ago, hey, I'm going to let my daughter, you know, she's about out enjoying herself in the evening, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and she's feeling a little tipsy, and I'm going to allow her to get into a car with a stranger of someone I've never met, don't know, and take her home. I mean, who would have thought of that? Or Airbnb. Who would have thought that you would have let someone come and stay in your house, sit naked on your couch, and pay you money for it? Whoa! These are companies that got started, and they're out there all because of ingenuity, and they did it during the deepest and darkest times. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of time. I wish I could spend so much more with you. Here is my contact information. If you want to reach out to me, there is my direct email address right there. Feel free to write to me. Feel free to reach out to me. I'll be glad to help you in any way I can. Love to have you be a part of it. I actually put together a resource guide. I'll be glad to give that to you as well. But you just tell me what you need, how you need it, and I'll be there. If only to be a voice for you, to say, hey, I'm not feeling too cool. You let me know. I'll come give you a kick in the pants, okay? I'll come and help you with that. And so we'll do anything we can. I know, and I want to make sure that you know this, but I want to make sure that you come back and check out the site. Come back onto entrepreneur.com. Come and check out all the resources they have available. There's so many to choose from. There's so much that to do. Entrepreneur has been there for entrepreneurs for decades, and certainly for me. I can remember, I'm a lot older than a lot of you, when I was first reading that magazine back in the 80s, and how intrigued I was, and how motivating, how inspiring that the magazine and now the site has become, and it's still that way today. So don't forget to come back and visit the people that took you to the dance, okay? So it's been a pleasure. This has been Jeffrey Hayzlett, and I thank you very much. And get out there and do some business.